let's talk about this is something that I'm excited for. Yes, Mississippi State baseball. So the show that you and Jack did with Tucker was awesome. It's been our most watched video on YouTube. It's had almost like 500
Yeah.
views. So apparently
Shout
people
out
just
Tucker.
yeah, Tucker just kind of killed it, I guess. You and Jack are right. He needs to be the third co-host. But state baseball has been on a tear, an expected tear, but in the portal we have been killing it. So I'm just gonna list some of the transfers that we brought in. Thomas Valencius, a freshman pitcher from UVA, his older brother, Vitus Valencius, and I could be saying these names wrong, from Illinois, a senior outfielder, Aiden Teal, UVA, a sophomore outfielder, James Nunnally, freshman outfielder from UVA, Sean James, a freshman catcher slash DH from UVA. So far, O'Connor has already brought in five pretty big impact young guys that he had at UVA, and then an older brother of a player he had at UVA. And these are kind of guys that are expected. I expect to compete to start. We've also had guys over the past 2 days announcing that they're coming back. Some other really big impact players. Ace Reese. We found out Friday night. He announced late Friday night. Yeah, Friday night that he was coming back. Um, and that's probably the player that I was most nervous about. Um,
Yeah.
and now I'm most excited for. I was telling myself he was going to end up at LSU just to kind of prepare. Like you said, low expectations. That's your motto when it comes to being a state fan. I disagree with you 99% of the time, but I was on board with that in this situation. I was preparing myself for him to leave for an LSU or a Vanderbilt or a Georgia or something like that, a larger school with another good baseball program. Ace Reese announced he's
Baseball,
coming back. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, baseball is the only one that I don't have that feeling
Yeah,
because there is historical precedent to say that we can be successful as a baseball program
yeah,
and elite as a baseball program. So that's where that sentiment isn't as true
yeah. And I do
as a
agree
major
that
sport.
we do have that, but there are definitely teams out there that are eliter, or at least in the past 8 years. I would argue LSU has been eliter in the past 8 to 10 years.
How many
Because
championships do they have?
they've got the championship, and then they've been back since then. So they've got a little
We've
bit.
had a championship too, though.
I know, I know. I'm excited. I love Mississippi State baseball. We got Ace Reese back. Today we got another big announcement. Bryce Chance announced he's coming back for his last year. Um, which is he's like been the he started for all 3 years. I think he's been here at State. So
Yep.
that's really big. And he's gotten better every single year. Reed
Pivotal as a
Stallman.
veteran.
Oh yes, it's huge to have that veteran confidence and not just a transfer, but someone who's been here for 3 years, going into his fourth year. There's not a lot of guys that we're gonna have on that roster that can say that, especially with guys like Highfill and Dylan Cup transferring. Those guys were both going into their junior years. So with them transferring and losing them, that's some veteran presences we're not going to have. Um, we've got Reed Stallman announced he's coming back today, an outfielder who a little bit not the ideal batting average, but brings in a lot of power in pinch hitting situations. The names I'm still waiting on are well, specifically it's Noah Sullivan, and I think his name might have to do with the draft, but I don't know how much DHs are in demand at the next level. He did pitch for us. He pitched. Hold on, I actually have his stats. Let me pull them up. He started 7 games and had an ERA under 2, but I don't think he ever pitched longer than a little over 2 innings. I don't know that he ever got through 3 innings as a starter. Um, and that he pitched midweek games, so the competition level was not super high. So I don't know what kind of demand a primarily DH is going to have at the next level. I don't, as a draft prospect, when you could be drafting guys who can hit and play on defense. Do you have thoughts on that as someone who knows MLB a little bit more?
I, DHs are good.
Okay.
But the problem with like in my opinion, and that this is I've experienced this from playing the show as well. Not that real life is a video game, but I think in terms of managing teams, it can be. Um, DH is it's if you have one and he's elite, they get paid big money. But a lot of the time, you'd rather use that spot to have a guy who needs some rest and just have them for a day, let them hit.
Yeah,
And like the Braves, I think could benefit from that a ton if they didn't have Marcell Ozuna. They could put Acuna in the DH spot for the afternoon, and he's still effective as a hitter. And you give him off a day in right field.
yeah,
I think that's something that a lot of teams would love to take advantage of. But if you can have a terrific DH, then you'd love to have it. But they have to be elite. Like they got to hit
yeah,
for pop. OPS has to be through the roof, or they're just like a one of a kind, like Shohei Ohtani or something.
yeah,
So I don't think it's. They'd much rather have someone who can play in the field, because that allows you to be so much more productive, um, in terms of if they can be a platoon player or someone who can come in a huge spot and hit and then still be able to go out there and play in the field when you go to the bottom of the inning. So
yeah. So I'm waiting on that name. I really want Noah back. The mustache itself provides
yeah,
a lot of energy to the team. Another guy I really would
absolutely.
love to have back is Garrick Fry. Yeah, Fry. Couldn't remember how to say it. That's right. It's Garrick Fry. Um, Played outfield and started. He led off for like the second half of the season. He finished with 141 at bats, but he hit 340 and had 8 home runs. And the mentality of having a guy leading off who is hitting over 300 but also can like put it out of the park is so exciting. I will
Mhm.
not I don't remember who, so I won't. I was about to say I won't forget, but I forgot who. But there was a game where he took the first pitch and sent it over the fence, and that was pretty early. He started about halfway through the season on, and so that was pretty early in his starting time, and he put that one um, in the outfield, and that was awesome. That was kind of a wake up call, like, oh, this kid's kind of good. So really hope to see Garrick Fry come back. Um, and then pitchers, we've got a couple freshman pitchers. I think three freshman pitchers who've announced that they're coming back. Charlie Foster, Ryan McPherson, and Dane Burns. Foster had an ERA under 2 in 7 appearances. McPherson and Burns both hovered around 4 with 20 and 14 appearances respectively. So those are three guys that could be fighting it out for starting spots on the weekends, or maybe maybe they can come in and be closers. We could get the next Landon Sims in the building, but it's super exciting. I told someone at the wedding on yesterday that we are going to be a preseason top 10 team, and there's a possibility we're top 5. We've got the number one
Yeah,
portal class in the country. So far, we're returning all of the right pieces from the Mississippi State roster, and we're bringing in. Right now, we have all of the UVA's best players except for one, who I still have my fingers crossed. We can talk about him in a second. But I heard someone say that next year's baseball team is going to be a Mississippi State and UVA All-Star team.
mhm.
Um, and that is a combination of a team that was talented enough to be the number 2 team in the country in the preseason in UVA, and then our team, who on the second, I would say the second half of SEC play was one of the hottest teams in the country. Um, we it was really fun to watch that the 10 game stretch where we won 9 games in 10. Yeah. So yeah, the last guy that we're kind of hoping for, Henry Ford, the first baseman, I believe, from UVA, took a visit to Tennessee and was there on Thursday, which is a little concerning because Tennessee is one of those schools that may not historically have the same accolades as we do, but recently they have a lot of weight behind that program with a
Yeah,
really good head coach and Tony Vitello. Um, the fans are the fans are excited. Some of them a little too excited to the point of claiming that college baseball wasn't a sport until Tony Vitello started coaching. Um, so there's some over enthusiasm from the Tennessee fans, but I'm a little nervous about that visit. Hope that we get him to Starkville and him seeing Duty Noble Field, we can convince him to come here. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of excitement around this program. I was looking at a possible starting lineup. Right now, the only thing I'm nervous about is shortstop. We lost Sawyer Reeves to graduation. He
Mhm.
was a fantastic shortstop through the second half of the season. Once he got settled in, Dylan Cup was going to be a junior. He's in the portal. So that's kind of the last place is shortstop and catcher. I would love to see a little bit of work. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited to kind of see that all-star, the combination of our two teams. So yeah, I cannot wait.
You should be. And it's awesome for us state fans because it is like uh effing finally kind of. These last 3 years have been a total crapshoot. There when I came to state my freshman year after going to Omaha and watching us win our first championship in any sport ever, I was like, okay, this is going to be sick. This is going to be something I'm going to tell my kids about one day. Like the people that, like Austin, our campus minister who was there during the Dak Prescott years, and my dad who was there during the late 90s with Coach Rick Stansbury and their basketball teams. I thought that that was going to be us for baseball of, okay, here we go. We're going to be, you know, hosting regionals and stuff like that. And we did none of that. So it is awesome. And I think it's going to be awesome for the university as well. Baseball being good makes everybody else better. And it's exciting because now for the next calendar year, we're going to have hopefully good sports to talk about. If football has a promising year, that's going to be great. And then you get to go into another year of two head coaches who consistently make the tournament in basketball. And then you come into baseball and softball season and you have Brian O'Connor and the Virginia Bulldogs or Mississippi State Cavaliers and Coach Ricketts in softball was had another great season. Tennis is supposed to be good again.
Yep.
So it's awesome for the university that this um, is a promising time and a happy time as opposed to a sad time of the year right now.
Yeah. And I also we recorded on Wednesday, so I'm going to talk about the Brian O'Connor welcome event on Thursday really quickly. If you don't follow me on Twitter, go to my Twitter, Sanders_Oakley. I posted the video of him entering the field. I got to record it. So much fun. But I didn't get a chance to speak to him because it was his night and he's super busy and I'm not important. But I got to be around him and see the way he carried himself. I got to listen to his speech that he gave to 5,000 fans. It was probably like 3 to 4, but we'll say 5 because it's a nice big number. And then I went back and watched the entire press conference after the event. And coming into that, walking out of that tunnel, we did a full walk, like through the locker room all the way out. It was like probably 80 yards of him, and just the nervousness of like you could hear the music playing in the bass in like through the speakers. They were playing Sweet Dreams because that's the entrance song. And he's about to step out into the light, he like turns and gives Zach Selman a little fist bump and then steps out, and I had goosebumps on my forearm that were so rough it was like sandpaper. Like if I could wake up every morning with that kind of energy, I was ready to run through a brick wall. And it's crazy that we had that many people show up to like say hello to the new head coach, and that was it. There was no game to be played. A lot of current and former players, Mississippi State players, showed up to support him. A lot of UVA players showed up for a visit and then committed the next day. So the event itself, shout out all my bosses in the athletic department for doing an insanely amazing job.
Mhm.
I could not imagine how cool it was going to look. If at one point someone compared it to like working an award show like the Emmys or something with like the red carpet and the cameras all around catching people in the audience. I mean, it felt like we were putting on a huge event, which we were. We had over 30,000 viewers to the live stream just on Twitter. Twitter crashed because we had so many people trying to view our live stream. Um, and so it was an awesome event put on by some awesome people for an awesome head coach. He said all the right things, talking about how he's gonna bring guys in here to play baseball the right way. Um, and whether you disagree with it or not, baseball being played the right way is kind of a hot topic right now with Tennessee, and people thinking that they play baseball the wrong way. But I think that Brian O'Connor did a really good job of emphasizing what he thinks Mississippi State should look like and what he thinks it's going to look like starting in next spring. So, and he talked about the players, and it was really awesome. I'd recommend, if you get a chance, go back and watch either the whole event or just his speech or just his press conference. He seems like a super stand-up guy. He thanked everyone at Virginia at the beginning of his press conference, unprompted. He thanked the fans and the athletic staff there. So I'm really excited for the Brian O'Connor era. I think it's the biggest head coaching hire Mississippi State has ever made. So, which is kind of crazy. I was thinking about it. He's the first coach we've ever hired who has won a national championship as a head coach, I believe.
Yeah.
So by far the biggest head coaching hire we've had. He's now the second highest paid head coach in the country, or baseball coach in the country. Um, so yeah, I'm super excited for baseball season. Can't wait.
He's very well spoken. You can tell a lot of the time on the first impression with new coaches, and how that first interview goes. A lot of the time you can tell about the future. And he was very well spoken. I think the only outlier with that example is like Nick Sirianni, and Dan Campbell as well. Those are like the only two outliers I can think of where like their first interview as a head coach of that team was just awful and just terrible. And I mean, they're both elite teams in the NFC, but Brian O'Connor is really well spoken, and he shows a lot of leadership. He showed a lot of humility. He starts his press conference by thanking um, Virginia and telling a little bit about his story, which was really sweet to hear. Um, I always felt like with Lamonis was in my opinion, a terrific press conference coach. He always, it felt like, had the right answers. He spoke about his players really, really well. He did something that I wish coaches did more, which was like be honest and talk about if a guy's got something to work on. Um, the only problem was clearly it just wasn't connecting in the locker room, and his decisions on the field were just not good in a lot of spots. Not getting off the bucket in time, and our starting pitcher gives up 4 runs instead of 2. And other moments like that kind of cost him and his job. But I hope with Brian O'Connor it's a little bit different. I think we're going into it'll be a great era. It's insane. The it's I think I hope. Well, I just said a bunch of things that didn't really make any sense. Um, I hope that it isn't too much because the expectations that are going to be on this team, that are already on this team, that isn't even a team yet, which is just going to build over the next 9, 8 months. I hope it's not too much, and I hope we don't about face on it. I hope we are patient and allow this program to regrow and come out of the depths of darkness that we were in terms of how we want Mississippi State baseball to be. And I hope he is just given a chance and that there's a lot of trust in there. And his resume helps a ton with that. But I hope that is something that they do, because it's for state at least. I feel like it's imperative that you do that that you don't overreact and that you give some of these guys a chance. Like I hope that we continue to give Coach Levy a chance, and I we clearly should continue to give Coach Jans a chance, even though we don't really have the marquee wins and we don't have the tournament win. Let these guys build. Let these guys create programs because in college athletics, that is how you're successful. Is you have consistency and you have a culture and you have something that you can continue to come to, and that players understand what that brand is all about. When you were a high school player and you were being recruited by Alabama, you knew what Coach Saban's program was about. And you think of basketball, Coach Calipari, you knew what Coach Calipari was about. And I hope that we give these freshly minted head coaches that opportunity. You know, it's Coach Jans or Coach Ricketts that are our longest tenured head coaches right now.
I think it's
And
Ricketts.
those that's only 4 or 5 years. So let's give these guys a chance. Let's not fret. But I have a ton of confidence that they're going to live up to those expectations. They're going to play really well next year.
Yeah.